So if you haven't been following college football news as of late, Jordan Addison, the stud wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Panthers, might be transferring, and it sounds like he's going to be headed to USC. Now, the Panthers, of course, are going to try to file for tampering and try to get him basically to stay or try to at least bash USC on the way out. And people are pointing to NIL as the reason why this is negative. Basically blaming NIL for juicing up some of the more brand-worthy schools, I should say, and try pushing these players, pushing star players at least to transfer to schools that offer better media deals and essentially being based more on money than actual chemistry or the teams you sign with. Essentially opening up this whole transfer window where now it's basically like a free agent market where you go and sign with teams that are offering you the best deals. The counter for all of this and why I am totally okay with NIL is Justyn Ross. Because Justyn Ross was a freaking star for Clemson in 2018 and 2019. He was a top 5 receiver in the nation. In the entire country, not just in his class, not anything like that, just in general. A top 5 receiver in the nation in 2018, or at least it felt like it. 46 receptions for 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, averaged 21.7 yards per reception. And he was on a tear in the college football playoff. I mean, absolutely insane production in the college football playoff that year. And I was a sophomore at the time at Clemson. So I really got to see him in person, and it was phenomenal to watch. It was incredible the kind of plays he would make. That year, and it was his freshman year, that's when Trevor Lawrence won his national championship over Alabama. In the college football playoff that year, when Clemson played Notre Dame and Alabama, Justyn Ross, in the 2 games combined, caught 12 passes for 301 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he was amazing. I mean, literally, just watching him play was just insane. It was him and T. Higgins, one of the best wide receiver duos I've seen in college football in my entire life. He comes back the next year. It's not as good, but he still has 865 yards, 8 touchdowns. At this point, if he just repeats that performance, he's probably still a top 50 pick in the NFL draft. And if he gets back to 1,000 yards, he's probably a first-round pick. Unfortunately, everything kind of goes downhill from here, and none of it's his fault in any way. They end up discovering a congenital fusion in his spine you have to have surgery for that, and it takes him out for the entire 2020 season. He comes back. He ends up suffering a stress fracture in his foot towards the end of the season this past year, and he ends up missing time and essentially going to the pre-draft process having to deal with this injury. And in his final year with Clemson, which he clearly was not himself. I mean, he came into the season having just been approved to play football in, I think it was early August or late July. He did not have much prep time at all where he was approved for contact to get ready for the season. He finishes his final year with 46 receptions for 514 yards and 3 touchdowns, having been poorly utilized by a Clemson offensive coordinator who clearly was in over his head, and by DJ Uiagalelei, who just was not playing well at all. His accuracy was a total drop-off from where Trevor Lawrence had been previously. So playing with DJ and playing with the offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott, that we had, just was detrimental to Justyn Ross's draft stock. And I think you can really look at his usage. I mean, he moved from being an outside receiver 80% of the time in his first 2 years to being an outside receiver 45% of the time in his final season at Clemson. They moved him primarily to the slot, which erased his ability to really compete downfield, which was what he was so good at as a freshman. And granted, he did not have explosive or great speed numbers when he was at his pro day. So I'm not saying that that would have been his game in the NFL, but it certainly eliminated part of his game in college football and really limited him to what he could do and what he could show off in his final season at Clemson. So the Tigers and their personnel, their offensive staff, as well as their quarterback, did not set Justyn Ross up to succeed per se. And then, of course, the injuries kind of stacking up. And it's not that he's injury prone; he really isn't. It hasn't been many major injuries. It's just the fact that if not for the spinal surgery, we would never have this narrative that Justyn Ross is injured. Even if he had played 4 years at Clemson, this had been his final year, and he'd suffered a stress fracture in his foot at the end of the season, we still would never have had this narrative that Justyn Ross is injury prone. That said, he went undrafted this year, and just today he signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Whereas most of the big names signed yesterday or the day before that. I mean, he's not going to get the kind of money that someone like a Mario Goodrich, who went unsigned and was a Clemson product as well. He's not going to get the money that Mario Goodrich got. He's not going to get the money that Carson Strong got. as priority UDFAs. And he's not getting the money that a drafted guy who got to take, even taking in the 4th round or the 3rd round, he's not going to get that kind of money because of the injuries and the inconsistencies the past 2 years. And if he had had access to NIL in his first 2 years at Clemson, the dude would be a millionaire by now. And instead, he's going to get whatever he's going to get as the UDFA. So, this is why I'm okay with NIL. Even if it creates a lot of chaos in the college football landscape, there will always be those who benefit from it. And I think the benefits will outweigh some of the negative issues that will surely victimize Clemson and some of my favorite teams at some point. I'm sure it will happen. It's bound to happen probably to everyone. But I'm willing to accept it knowing that some of these kids are still going to get access to the money that they might not get in the pros.